Now the election back and I'll die away. In short, this is what I have to say. Let us forget fights and grudges and concentrate. Come, let us sit and try to relate. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come let us go hand in hand, because this is our land. Come my brother, come my sister, let us build a nation together. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Remember, the key to success is working hard. For our country we must have regard. Forget all your differences, let we start to build. And onward to progress we surely will. Because now more than ever we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, family and friends, as your Papa Fine commentator, steady live on the piano talk today.
Our land, come my sister, let us build a nation together. Oh, so much of things that we need to see about.
Good afternoon to Trinidad and Tobago. I want to say a blessed good afternoon to each and every one of our brothers and sisters.
The only way is putting more effort and less. Because now more than ever we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So let us go hand in hand, because this is our land. Come my brother, come my sister, and let us build a nation together. This also goes for every Trinbagonian.
I want to say a blessed good afternoon
in a foreign land. Now is the time to come home and do something. Because now more than ever we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come let us go hand in hand, because this is our land.
Is it today's blessed Saturday in beautiful Trinidad and Tobago? Yes, it's the 5th of July. And ladies and gentlemen, all you know, we had a talker. And while we at it, sending out some love from the UNC family. I want to to send out some love to the coalition team. I want to send out some love to Steve Russ, Erin, Buenos Aires, and the Carcass. I'm sending out some love to Point 14. Blessed good afternoon to you. I must send out some love to Love Ray. Hey. Ladies and gentlemen, so whether you're in Chinese village, go wherever you want in beautiful Trinidad and Tobago, this beautiful Saturday, we gotta get into some audio. Once again, I must send some love to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago.
So no foreign countries finish that migration. They lose faith in the country that they will go on down the street. They say no more could we see happy times again.
Good afternoon to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Miss Kamala Persad-Bissessor.
Although many may seem to feel that I talk it nonsense.
I want to say a blessed good afternoon to the entire cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago.
Because now we
must send out some love to the Attorney General, Mr. John Jeremy. Blessed good afternoon, sir.
If that is power, so our people need today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it has one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try.
We have a responsibility to understand that this unity.
We just get one more try.
Unity is the only direction we should be heading.
We must be
negative conversations. I say we break it and send it back to the pits of hell. We have a lot of unhappy people in Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, we know we have some losers. Yes, April 28th just gone. But allow the winners to celebrate.
We analyze what was the problem.
Listen.
Yes, we start making very positive moves to stop them. We fire the old set of managers we had working. And it's a new group we went and we bring. And if because we require them new managers not so flying. When the election time come back from this new ones we bring in. But if it's one thing about my people, I go guarantee that they would never ever put party before country. And the country is black is power. And our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, we have one little thing that I want you always.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen.
We could make it if we try. Just a little harder. If we just get one more try, life would be much sweeter.
I want to send out some love to Saparia. I want to send out some love to Princess Stunner. I want to send out some love to Cuba. I want to send out some love to Edinburgh 500. Port of Spain, blessed good afternoon.
Everyone full and happy time, some was enjoying. Isn't over and laugh and people was living. Now the culture reflect and the country come back to square one. Poor people remain on the same old ghetto in Georgia. But to get to the economy return today on some footing.
I want somebody to call somebody who knows somebody. This afternoon we holding on to the facts.
For people paying the price.
We must send out some love. We must send out some love to the Prime Minister of India. Yes. Mr. Moody, bless good afternoon to you, brother.
If ever you feel to surrender, it has one little thing that I want you always remember. We don't make it if we try. Just a little harder. If we just get one more try, life will be much sweeter.
Let's get afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, family and friends. Bless, good afternoon, bless, good afternoon. As you come up, I encourage you to share the live to our brothers and sisters over there on Facebook. Bless, good afternoon. I want to say a special good afternoon to our brothers and sisters out there on YouTube. At the end of the day, Trinidad and Tobago, all you know what we're dealing with, you know what the conversation is. And again, we just want to continue to encourage brothers and sisters in this country to continue to send out your love to the Prime Minister of India, send out your endorsement, because again, it's a blessing having Mr. Moody in Trinidad and Tobago. And I must say, as a citizen being given the opportunity to go in the venue, because I know there was a lot of people that wanted to go. Honestly, there was a lot of people that wanted to go and everybody couldn't get to go. So I just thank God that me and my lovely wife was given the opportunity to be there, given the opportunity to hear the relevant information that and the inspirational words that were spoken that night. And brothers and sisters, as much as, and I mean, it is so disappointing, after seeing Mr. Moody come to Trinidad and Tobago, to realize that over the years, a lot of events took place, a lot of events. And some metal clothes. Workers had to go. I didn't see brothers and sisters who marched in front of the Red House. I didn't see them there. I mean, Petrotrain came and closed. Refinery came and closed. I didn't see brothers and sisters encourage the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago to come out and march. Let me make sure and get enough lawyers to find out some justifiable answers. We closed two major companies that was playing a major part in Trinidad and Tobago. And brothers and sisters who utilized the time while Mr. Moody was in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, mind me, these in their political organization, but if it's something that I learned along the way, and I learned it very early, it is impossible to be a good leader if you cannot be a good follower. Place, ladies and gentlemen, over the couple of days in Trinidad and Tobago, the fact that but I don't know if I saw actually what was going on in Parliament. What happened over the period of time, brothers and sisters? We have a group of people who encouraging their supporters, or they don't have to fight up and take in Parliament because that has been the norm. And back and taking in all the conversation. When they're done, they came outside and then they gave a total different demonstration, a total different display. Like they did not even support the Prime Minister of India coming to Trinidad and Tobago. But let me be real and reasonable, brothers and sisters. I don't know if it is you actually looking at what's taking place in this country. I don't know if it is you actually see what's taking place in this country. Well, hear this. I don't reach far down in the conversation, and I ain't even asked the father to take charge of the conversation. So while we at it, I want to say a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, is your son open. Father, I just want to give you all the praise, all the honor, and all the glory. Father, I ask that you cover, you bless, you guide, and you protect us. Lord, we ask that you take charge of today's conversation. We ask that you cover our honorable Prime Minister. Father, we ask that you cover the Prime Minister of India. Father, we lift up each and every representing persons underneath the both government. Father, we ask that you lift up and cover our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean too. So we say a special prayer for each and every nation that is connected to Trinidad and Tobago. We say a special prayer for each and every person that is connected to Trinidad and Tobago. And Father, we ask that you cover our honorable Prime Minister, cover her entire cabinet, cover her administration, cover the coalition. Lord, we say a special prayer for our Member of Parliament for Point 14, Mr. Ernesto Raymond Kiza. Father, I pray that you order his steps, Lord. We know the mischief will try to be played. But Father, every single thing that is being said and done is being said and done for your honor and for your glory, for your people have been crying out for far too long. And your word is, if my people who are called by my name, Father, we are called by your name. So we're asking that you take charge of each and every nook and every cranny. Take charge of each and every person in and out of Trinidad and Tobago. Lord, I'm saying you have your way. Have your way in our families. Have your way in our marriages. Have your way in our businesses. Have your way when we are in our vehicles. Have your way on the nation's roadway. Father, you have your way in each and every decision that is being made in Trinidad and Tobago. So Lord, I pray you encamp your angels around our leaders, around our people, around our brothers and sisters. You take charge of this platform, Father. I pray that you elevate us from one level to the next, Father. I pray that you use us as instruments in your house to open the minds and change the hearts of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Lord, we give you all the praise, all the honor, and all the glory this blessed Saturday. And Father, I ask that you cover my home. Father, I ask that you cover my lovely wife and my children. Father, I pray that you just take charge. Father, I say a special prayer for each and every one of our followers, our listeners, our viewers. Father, we lift up each and every contributing factor, those responsible for making sure that our production continue to be delivered. So, Lord, I pray for all the contractors in the background. Father, I pray for the help in advance before it even comes. Father, thank you for opening doors that needs to be opened. And thank you for closing doors that needs to be closed. Father, I pray that you just have your way. I pray the spirit of racialism, the spirit of wickedness, the spirit of negativity be broken and sent back to the pits of hell. So we ask that you change the minds and the hearts of brothers and sisters in this nation, Lord. Together we aspire, Father. Together we achieve. So, Father, I pray you have your way in Trinidad and Tobago. Have your way in our conversation. Have your way in the information that is going to be heard today. And Father, I pray that you cover every house representing today, every family representing today, cover their children, cover their going outs and their coming ins, cover them when they're on the nation road where we pray for no accidents, no incidents, while brothers and sisters move commuting today, Lord. Father, we thank you. You say ask and we shall receive. So we asking that you take charge of our environment. We asking that you take charge of the decision making. We asking that you cover our leaders. Father, cover our houses, cover our fathers and our mothers and our grandparents. Cover our children, Lord. No other name but in Jesus' name. Amen and amen. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, family and friends, all your blessed good afternoon. We had to talk.
And we drag it up in the sentence. From the day the Goshen will leave the band, the Benjamin stand, still creating rhythm that could be taken. Only this time, the spirit and the melody was sending the soul to the boundary. From the bongo drum to the road at the casa. Whenever since you up, come and she made us we tell me, Calypso, Calypso, Calypso music. Yeah.
I want to say a blessed good afternoon to the ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters of the 648 family. All your blessed good afternoon. I want to say a blessed good afternoon to each and every one of our brothers and sisters that were able to meet for the event with Mr. Moody and our Honorable Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessa. I want to say a blessed good afternoon to Brother Annie Roberts. I was able to meet Mr. Philip Alexander. I ended up meeting the two Alexander. I didn't have the opportunity to meet Ms. Khadija Amin because she was kind of busy and pumping too. I ended up getting to meet two again, but I get to meet a couple of brothers and sisters. And on top of that, I had the opportunity to even meet Ravi B, which is one of the artists all I know that I really and truly respect in Trinidad and Tobago. He does really deliver when he come to work. So again, I'm sending out some love to Ravi B, and I must send out some love to my entire UNC family. I'm sending out some love to each and every one of the brothers and sisters that I've met in the venue. I'm sending out some love to the brothers and sisters who have been supporting and following, sharing, liking. I must send out some love to Kati, our sister Kati. We must send out some love to Rishi, Pearl, Sammy. We have to send out some love to Williams, to Anthony. We must send out some love to every single person. Bless good afternoon. And as you come up and as you identify yourself as saying bless good afternoon to you. But ladies and gentlemen, a piece of wickedness took place in Trinidad and Tobago. A piece of disrespect took place in Trinidad and Tobago. And at the end of the day, for some strange reason, the brothers and sisters that actually look like me continue to be on that end of the stick. And I'm just saying, we could sugarcoat it how it is we want. The message was distributed. And how it hit you, it hit you. So based on how it hit you, my responsibility is to explain to you. If you was not in the venue, and if it is you was not around or even paying attention to the vibes, because when I look on social media, there's enough evidence of Mr. Moody's visit. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I saw a supposed to be a brother with common sense on social media throwing a tantrum. Now, my responsibility is to explain to you, because remember, I myself went out the road the other day and I myself received a spike drink and I end up on social media real curling down the place out of timing. So I am checking and accepting or hoping that is actually what taking place. Because one had to be very irresponsible and drastically disrespectful, especially somebody who holding down a 9 to 5 and rocking a public logo. On top of that, you're giving public information and public advice in Trinidad and Tobago. And let us be real and reasonable. One have to actually and factually hold on to the facts with the elements that we are dealing with as a people. Now, Mr. Moody coming to Trinidad and Tobago. The fact that he's an Indian, that is a blessing. The fact that he's India Prime Minister, that and all is also a blessing. Because when you hold on to the facts and the truth of Trinidad and Tobago, now, I mightn't be an Indian, but when I look into my family, I have cousins who is half Indian. Now, the information coming from the Indian population in Trinidad and Tobago, the fact is that their history came from the East. The arrival, indigenous deal, and I don't think as people in Trinidad and Tobago, our responsibility is to continue explaining these things on social media, but just for teaching purposes, because I saw a gentleman who I was not expecting to come up, and this man reached as far as cursing Mr. He didn't just curse Mr. Moody. He said, "All your stinking mother." So you even address the man mother. Now, mind me, we could be vexed about items. We could be totally displeased. I don't like what is going on. And on top of that, I find that you disrespect somebody. We understand this. We understand what you find. Now, one thing you have to state, because you came up on social media and you give your public opinion based on the video that you see. Now, anybody who watching the video could understand how drastically hypocritical you are and how drastically spiritually biased you are. And I would, boy, it is serious to say that you are seriously diagnosed with a drastic state of racialism. Because when you look at the video after Mr. Moody came down the step of the plane, there were 3 young persons. The first young person was the African boy. Now, mind me, the African boy did not end up the first child there by mistake because it's a zigzag and we put him stand up there by mistake. That is not what took place. So the fact that you look at that video and stop it right there when the sister, now mind me, ladies and gentlemen, the element of what we just experienced, this is prime minister to prime minister. This is national security to national security. So those of you who sitting on social media and having conversation, like Mr. Moody just wake up in India and just jump on a BWIA plane and just land in Piaco. He don't have no delegates. He have nothing. He just show up with a suitcase. That is not how this visit took place. This was an official visit. Now, mind me, Mr. Moody is the Prime Minister of India. What is baffling me is the person who put out the conversation. Because you put out a conversation cursing Mr. Moody's mother. And you displeased about a video. It looked like somebody sent you. And you didn't even realize after Mr. Moody came off this step, after the young boy gave this, the first African young boy, because he was the first person after Mr. Moody landed the plane. Listen what took place. Or you're not understanding what is being exposed in front of us. Our Attorney General is Mr. John Jeremy. And anybody know Anand Ram Logan or the Lion. These brothers and but the fact is, the UNC never told Trinidad and Tobago UNC is an Indian party. It explains that it is a diverse party. And when you look at the structure of the organization, But you can't call Miss Kamala racist because something had to be wrong with your head. Because somewhere looking down the window could the Jamaican might be main pass and you see how curly her hair is. It's not making sense. And when you turn around now, you see a big, black, strong man like myself, Mr. Alexander, coming up the corridor, and you want to know. All right, then it looked like she bypassed all the Indian and only gain African play. When you look to the side now, you realize, wait now, Saddam Hussein right there, boy. But wait now, who actually representing who here? How it look like it had nobody Chinese, because I realized the last administration had somebody Chinese too. And then when you look deep within, you come and realize Mr. David Lee right there waiting with the relevant information, because you have a responsibility to deliver houses. Bless day, to deliver houses in Trinidad and Tobago. So you have to come up with a formula. And when you look to the organization, you got to realize it's a balanced parcel. A lot of people didn't understand what took place in Trinidad and Tobago over the past few days. Whether you come up on social media. Hold on 1 second. You come up on social media and you curse Mr. Moody's mother. And you use words like stinking. This is what you did to the man who have one of the, or if not the fastest growing economy. Thanks. Globally, this is what you did to Mr. Moody when COVID-19 came about. Listen, somehow they're just talking out all their mouth because PNM not in power. And some mad person tell all that Africans supposed to only be running Trinidad and Tobago. We never supposed to have an Indian president. Don't worry, I heard it too. We never supposed to have an Indian prime minister. Don't worry, you see me look, I heard it too. But I had enough sense to take common sense and put in the middle of my conversation. If I living in Point 14, the majority of my, the closest thing I get to Indian in Point is Miss Paula Gopi School. That is the closest thing we received to Indian in Point. So all the prior leaders was Africans. The mayors was African. And yet still, Point 14 was never at no percent in the time over the history was represented by any of the former members. PNM was allowed to suck the wealth. They were allowed to break the backs. This is the same thing that taken place in places like Penal and Debe and all in these places we're trying to do farming. We have brilliant children, brilliant engineers, and yet still we're sitting with a country that continuing to flood. While our children migrating and going out of Trinidad and Tobago and helping other nations. They're helping bring development and structures to other nations. And why this is being done? Because those who actually have the knowledge is not being given the opportunity. This is what was demonstrated over the past 9.5 years. Today in Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Moody come to visit us. I tell you, when we was in COVID-19, anybody forget when the former prime minister said they were trying to allocate money because they had to buy vaccinations? Thing wasn't bright. They started borrowing money. No, we can't embarrass. We can't do that. And I am not accepting that, especially as an African in Trinidad and Tobago. So my responsibility today is to bring the words of our Honorable Prime Minister and bring the words of Mr. Moody. Because what happened is that brothers and sisters, like they did not hear what the man delivered. They did not understand the angle in which the Prime Minister delivered. So they were able to convince people in the population that the man come here to work. Oh, they listen how disrespectful. And they did this. And when you look at those who spoke the conversation, when you look at the man who cursed Mr. Moody's mother, it's people who look like me. I don't want people globally to be saying, look how African people is dealing with eating. It can't be that. People cannot get the opportunity to think that all the African in Trinidad and Tobago is racially hypocrites and racially biased, spiritually disrespectful. Mr. Moody have one of the fastest growing economy, if not the third largest. Come on, man. And this man come to Trinidad and Tobago not to show off on us. He could have taken a private jet and come in. But the man understand, yes, it makes no sense being a superpower. It makes no sense saying that we're going to be the largest. And we have Indian colleagues all over the world scattered. We have Indian brothers and sisters all over the world scattered. And I am living. I am an inspiration. If I telling all you, if all you had the opportunity to talk to some of we Indian friends, especially when they get to hear we going, Felix, all you going by, I'm glad for all you. But when they realized me and my wife was so excited too, because we've been given, because remember, we following the information globally. So we understand the opportunity that was given. So you know, all right. You show the piece of video with Mr. Moody come down this step. You didn't take into consideration that the African boy was the first person to deliver a gift to Mr. Moody when he touched the soil of Trinidad and Tobago. You didn't want to hold on to that. You didn't want to hold on to that. So that means no matter how great or matter how successful that youth man might be, you as an African make sure that all Africans look at that as a negative structure. Like what you did. The first person that was able to deliver a gift to Mr. Moody when he touched the soil in Trinidad and Tobago was the little African boy. Now mind me, they were in a line coming up. Mr. Moody was at the bottom of the stage. I don't know if people see the video. The lady took the African boy and shipped him to the side. Now I want to know if that is the end of the video. This is what it is I want to ask my brother, because he's a big man and supposed to have common sense. Is that the end of the video? Was any picture taken? Did anyone take picture of the African boy, the two Indian boy, Mr. Moody? Was any picture taken with that? And my question I have to ask brothers and sisters now, because we have to start to use common sense. If pictures was taken with that, were these pictures taken before Mr. Moody reached down the step? This had to be taken after the chain of events. So eventually the same lady who you cuss up the lady, you cuss up the lady mother, you even know her mother's contribution. You cuss up the Indian Prime Minister for coming to Trinidad to bring greetings to the Indian people and to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. You as a figure on social media, you're given an opportunity and hold on a respectable job. So the average person would want to expect that when you're speaking something with common sense. You take that, totally leave out the fact people take pictures after. You turn around and speak about on the youth man behalf and let everybody all this thinking, he from up by you? He from down by me by? The young boy from Labre by? It's Calypso the young boy that sing by? Why you didn't sit down and talk about the young boy's contribution by? And he was able to be the junior Calypso king by? And his mother and him just do singing, and it is an honor. And it is an opportunity that he was the first person to deliver a gift. And on top of that, the fact that is the Indian Prime Minister, but you could say what you want, you could cuss upside down square the contribution that that man has made, the contribution that that man continue to make. But you can't erase that legacy. You can't have enough conversation in social media enough people with common sense on social media to realize it's racial you're talking by. And why are you doing them thing? Because you working and you saw your money in the bank. So you feel you could talk to all other race. You could talk about all other race and not hold on to the facts. Trinidad and Tobago, my responsibility is to bring the relevant information to you. Again, my name is Irvin and this is 648 Television. I had the opportunity to be in the venue. I had the opportunity. And you know what bring about that mentality? You know what bring about that mentality? What bring about that mentality? It's exactly what it is Mr. Moody came to Trinidad and Tobago to do. And how he delivered what he came to deliver. How he came to the people, he came to the governing authority, he received the award and he left. No bacchanal, he didn't answer nobody. But don't feel his entourage, don't feel his media personals don't understand the level of nastiness that is being spoken about their prime minister. You just sat back with a, you know what's sad and disrespectful with this? The former administration is the only administration in Trinidad and Tobago could clearly identify to any citizen, whether PNM or UNC, or you belong to any other political party. The PNM administration is the only administration to have a government that abandoned the post, that abandoned the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And that is what it is Mr. Rowley did. He abandoned his position. He could have go back and asked the people of Trinidad and Tobago to vote for him, but they know the type of damage that they did. They know the type of racialism and the type of venom that they practice in this country. What is this I see there? You see how life does be? Doesn't be fair. TC and heavy hair. Juju get a shoe. I'm not. Guys. Hey. This is what I say, ladies and gentlemen. My responsibility is to deliver the. While I am on this journey, nobody told me they was going to do anything for me. What happened is when it is myself, my wife, my children, and the supporters, when we come together, we will reach where we have to go. And eventually, the second time going up by Iowa, had the opportunity to be on the radio. This was the second time had the opportunity to blow the numbers out of the park. So probably, I don't know what it is going on, but at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, what it is I also know, and you know too, is that I'm a multi-skilled fella. So my responsibility is to navigate into where, because I also have to feed my family too. So as much as Trinidad and Tobago is watching what is going on, if the relevant support don't actually reach out to keep this continuing, obviously I go want to continue it. But remember, this comes at a cost. The fact that I sit down with the green screen and all these things and the music and all this running, this comes at a cost, because you see what going on the StreamYard sign right there and all these things and them. So you have to have your thing in a proper order. And you must make the investment. So I believe that I showed Trinidad and Tobago over the period of time that I love what I love to do, and my family show that we love to do this. So it's up to brothers and sisters, if it is the thing that the people of Trinidad and Tobago should continue hearing it. And my responsibility is not to sit back and complain. We just have to look at it, you know. Because as much as Heavy and TC help that person get a show, well, then I am expecting an apology coming soon, especially to the people of the UNC, especially to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and especially to the Indian population of Trinidad and Tobago. Because that same person did a lot of damage and was a part of a lot of disrespectful and unhealthy conversation in Trinidad and Tobago. So it would be nice if probably a U-turn was made, because remember, it's human being we're dealing with. You understand? So if a U-turn was made, well then okay. We support the U-turn, although I am telling brothers and sisters, because remember, I've been out and about. What it is the United National Congress and the coalition is marketing. The type of behavior that a lot of people in the PNM does practice. I don't think that would be healthy for the relevant and the factual UNC supporters right now. So then the UNC and their coalition have a responsibility to make sure that they put the relevant persons, that make sure they get the supporters, they make sure and get Trinidad and Tobago jump started and ready to go. And then Tony, I love you too bad. I love you too bad. So as much as though that way it hit me, I didn't even realize that would take place with the FNTC. I didn't realize that, but either way, let me go again. But here it is. I had to bring the audio from the visit with the Prime Minister of India. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I need you to listen to the conversation, and you tell me when it is you start to hear racialism. You tell me when you start to hear, mind me, I'm watching the comments. You tell me when you start to hear separation, and tell me. Boy, I want to say thank you very much for Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar for hosting Mr. Moody. Yes, the PNM go say, well, it's Rowley who did originally invite him. No problem with that. But Rowley didn't have to invite Mr. Moody. Eventually, Mr. Moody would have to come to Trinidad. He will have to. Because when it is you're sending aid to our country, you have the authority to visit the country. And when it is you look through COVID and you look through different periods of time, Mr. Moody has been an instrumental help to Trinidad and Tobago. As much as I could tell you, America is one of our allies. Well, then India, factually, brothers and sisters, they are also one of our allies. And what it is, Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the United National Congress and the coalition and the government of Trinidad and Tobago, you know what they did? They just strengthened the ties a little more. They just add a couple more things to the relationship, and this is what we want. And I would say, and I would like for the brothers and sisters who is close to Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar to encourage her to send out some invitation to African leaders around the world, to positive and stable-minded people around the world, not those who would come to Trinidad and Tobago and try to form revolution. Those who would come to try to preach the doctrine that Africans, we superior, and I don't like that doctrine. I understand who I am as a human being. I know that I am an African. I know that I am a human being. I know that I have a responsibility as a man to take care of my family and my children, especially my wife. I know this, but I also know that the Indian man, the same luxury is offered to him too. I also know that the Syrian man who is legal, the same opportunity and the same luxury is legally offered to him too. And the fact, ladies and gentlemen, that we live in Trinidad and Tobago, and we know that here every creed and race finds an equal place. And may God bless our nation. Well, then anybody with basic common sense would tell you, we cannot be against our Indian population for bringing about the relevant information for their Indian comrades. That is disrespectful and out of timing. And I want to urge Africans, especially those of you who are looking in, I want to urge Africans, especially those of you in Trinidad and Tobago. Let me tell you something. You could make how much money you want in the world. You could end up being as rich as Mark Zuckerberg, or you could be as poor as the closest vagrant you know. But let me explain something to you. The history is the history, and it was embarrassing to know when Miss Kamala Persad-Bissessar explained, and she asked, where did your name come from? A slave master. The African leaders in Trinidad and Tobago, despite all the PNM education, despite all the PNM studies, despite all who claim say they are silk, despite all who claim say they are linen and all kind of bacchanal, they educated, they have all the relevant studies. And Miss Kamala Persad-Bissessar had to educate them. And they even threw a tantrum. So what they're trying to encourage African people in Trinidad and Tobago to do is to go against the history, is to go against the evidence, is to go against the facts. But brothers and sisters, my responsibility today is to remind you and is to tell you, your enemy is not the Indian man. Your enemy could never be the Indian man. You know who's your enemy? All the Africans who had the opportunity to be an MP. all the Africans who had the opportunity to bring support, all the Africans who had the opportunity to be your counselors, all the Africans who had the opportunity and the responsibility to bring about the relevant evidence, all of them failed us. They failed us. And the fact that Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the United National Congress and the coalition, balanced group of people, enough sense to cater for the relevant environment to make it be a teaching thing one time, to make Mr. Moody get a proper opportunity to just walk in Parliament and collect an award and board back a plane. Mr. Moody had enough sense to know that he have Indian people in Trinidad and Tobago. That is why I tell all you, I am the type of African. I have no problem with my Indian partners and my Indian sisters and them explaining to people that they are Indian. Because if you don't know who you are, well, then you're going to end up being a hypocrite. So the fact that you are an Indian and it is your responsibility to celebrate Diwali, when Rambela come up, you have to make the preparation. I had to come when the place done prepared. Let us be real and reasonable. So I love people who understand where the roots come from. I love people who understand where they come from. I love people who making sure and keep the culture alive. And this is what I saw in that building. And as much as I see it, it is my responsibility to speak about it, because I'm encouraging the African leaders who are wrong, Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, I'm encouraging them. All you have the relevant information, have the relevant conversation. Have the relevant conversation. Those who had the opportunity to bring about the relevant support to the people collectively. Mr. Moody came to Trinidad and Tobago and I was sitting in the crowd. I ain't hear no separation. I ain't hear the conversation that Indian people better than African people. I ain't hear none of that. I ain't hear none of that. And because I didn't hear it, I don't want to just continue repeating it, because somehow I'll sit down and take it in. So today is Saturday. Brothers and sisters are asking you to subscribe to the page, asking you to like the page and asking you to share. Because when you share, it opens the algorithm. And I'm asking for that relevant support as we go forward. But ladies and gentlemen, I had to bring all you what it is I heard. So we're going to start a little bit with Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar. I needed to call somebody who knows somebody. This, my children had to sit down and listen to this. The direction and the structure that India is going, where they stand right now when it comes to GDP. Mr. Moody have the voice that human beings should be listening to. And die the conversation. Let me go, ladies and gentlemen. Call somebody who knows somebody.
Futuristic initiatives. You have modernized the Indian economy. You have empowered over 1 billion citizens. And above all, you have instilled pride in the hearts of all Indians all over the world. And yet, it's not only your governance, sir, but it's your reverence for heritage that has brought us together tonight.
Yes.
On your first visit to our country, you were not then Prime Minister, but as part, a cultural ambassador as part of the World Hindu Conference in 2002. Today, sir, you return as the head of a government of more than 1.4 billion people. You return as a distinguished and celebrated leader whose influence transcends boundaries. We bow to you, sir. What inspires this gathering most is your enduring commitment to the Indian diaspora, promoting culture, history, and the spirit of our shared journey. The ties that bind India.
Excuse. As we go, you see the comments coming up on the screen. Listen, there are things that brothers and sisters who come from the Indian legacy, those who actually came on the Patel Razak, those who actually took the 100 days journey, you see their generation, their bloodline, things are being put in place for them, and it is only fair. Because if we're holding on to the facts, the only reason why somebody will speak about that, this is why Africans, this is why we're not going anywhere. Because we would sit down and talk about that. that the Indian Prime Minister came to Trinidad and Tobago and he put structures in place. He put things for people, but he also put structures in place for. Don't let them make you think differently of what took place in Trinidad and Tobago, because let me be real. Africa had own presidents. We can run out. India have one prime minister. Boy, come on, man.
And Trinidad and Tobago are not merely diplomatic in nature. These are ties of ancestry, of kinship. We are bound by history, by shared struggle, and we're bound by common dreams. The journey that began 1945 with the arrival of Fatal Razak at Nelson Island has evolved into a story of resilience, transformation, and success. Those early Indian migrants left behind everything except their language, their faith, and their culture. They crossed the Kalapani, the dark waters, once believed to sever the soul from the sacred. But today, we have reimagined that journey. We have moved from Kalapani to Pana Bandhan, waters of unity. Water not as a divider, but as a bond that unites our people. And in this spirit, we embrace.
You know what I like about this conversation here? If my prime minister was afraid to have conversation because she thinks Trinbagonian citizens would be offended and think that this Indian people shouldn't have, this is what have the African population in this position in Trinidad and Tobago today. It is never supposed to be embarrassing when you hear that your name is a slave name, a slave master's name. That is the truth. That is the history. And until we understand history, you can't beat back that. The brothers and sisters who came to Trinidad and Tobago on the same 100-day journey, our prime minister is explaining to us. When they came here, they didn't came here with the luxury that you see in some of our East Indian comrades actually doing, you know. And some of us so blind because we're so racial, we didn't even realize that African people doing the same thing right there, you know. Right there. Indian person buy a van, watch is only Indian buying van. 5 African pass in front of you with van. You ain't see that. So all the Africans that actually not racial, all the Africans that make sure that listen to me, my children, you can't bring that dotishness in my house. You cannot come to me and have no conversation under my roof and tell me PNM till you're dead. You're going crazy or something. You see those African persons, when you take a overlook, let me be real and reasonable. Even the persons who are selling, boy, I doesn't really want nothing to really do with politics. For some strange reason, the majority of the people who tell me, them PNM till they're dead, and the Indian people can't run them and govern them. The majority of these persons have nothing. And I basic facts. I know no disrespect to my brothers and sisters, but that is the truth. And again, the question was asking Trinidad and Tobago. Not me who said, if the former administration explained to us, because that is them people doing, them was in charge the majority of the years when it comes to government in Trinidad and Tobago. And if them explain to us, we have a 1%, them claim is the Syrian. And then they explain to you now, after that, they're telling you, don't ask me for nothing and don't tell me nothing. Because the 1%ers control everything, which them say is the Syrian. And then they tell you, we Indian brothers and them control the business sector. That is what them tell you. And they turn around and tell you now, when you as an African go to the bank, you not getting loan. This is what African leaders did to African people in this country. You know. You not getting loan. The same African leaders turn around to tell you. And when I say leaders, I'm talking about the seniors in the community, because them could only bring the doctrine that they were told. And the doctrine was that when you as an African go to the bank, African people is not getting loan. They rather to give Indian people the loan. And let me explain and ask you something. Let me ask you something, ladies and gentlemen. If all of us here, let me say we pick Anthony, and the 95 of us who are up on the live here, 94 of us targeting Anthony. We disrespecting Anthony. We do business with anytime Anthony pop anything, we shutting down Anthony, right? Eventually, everybody who visit the page would start disrespecting Anthony. You know why? Because we train people to disrespect Anthony, because Anthony is part of our colleagues. So what happened over the years is that the formers, they train their leaders, and the leaders train the other leaders, that is the village council groups and all these people and them, to disrespect the own persons. So when that disrespect was harnessed and it grew, you take that whole energy now and you tell everybody that you personally disrespected, you tell them that when you go to the bank, the Indian man will get a loan before you. Now, this is while Africans were in government. Africans were our MPs. Africans was our ministers. And we were living in Trinidad and Tobago. So the fact that when you look at the geographic outlook, at the racial structure of Trinidad and Tobago, Prime Minister on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, because that is the right thing to do. The legacy that the gentleman is pushing, the legacy that the gentleman is pushing. I don't know what conversation going on here, and Juju didn't correct him. She's saying, I don't know what is going on there. I don't know if Miss Julia Davies on the live. I just mentioned what it is I heard earlier on. And listen, I'm not really here for that, right? We're actually talking about the Prime Minister of India, and we're talking about the contribution of the Prime Minister and the contribution of the Prime Minister of India. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring you the conversation. We started with Ms. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, and let's continue asking you to share the live, asking you to like, asking you to subscribe. And blessed good afternoon to you.
Ocean of unity, an enduring oceanic connection between India and Trinidad and Tobago. We hear are the grandchildren of Mother India, separated by oceans, but always remain united by enduring love and respect. This union is best captured in a poem, sir, that you once wrote, Sri Modi ji. And I will share some of the words from your poem. In the recesses of my mind, I travel far into the past, and each face I see unfolds a memory. My recall comes with ease, each visage easily recognized. Nothing stays hidden, for this is the truth plain to see, that our companions, with whom we suffered, never forgotten, together endured those sufferings. They become the journey in the end. Yes, Sri Modi, our people have suffered, but they have endured. And where
Understand what went on there? This is not no pity party the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago is having there. The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago also understand that she have a responsibility to build her economy. And mind me, as much as we have suffered, oh gosh, as much as we have been battered and bruised, as much as our brothers and sisters has been racially profiled, because if Foster Cummins could stand up and say all the people in Forest Reserve, all the people in CPEP, all the people in URPs, PNM people. So Foster Cummins them didn't take into consideration to employ one person from the UNC because them don't eat grocery, them don't have no children to mind. This is what actually took place, and if you fit the description of an Indian, his problems took place for you in the past 9.5 years. So the fact that Mr. Moody come to Trinidad and Tobago was to bring back, lift the spirits of his colleagues, lift the spirits of his children, lift the spirits of the Indian community in Trinidad and Tobago, and to all the Africans who saw it, all the Africans who felt it, all the Africans who understand this thing is not about racialism, it's about love, it's about unity, and it's about respect. Let we continue to share the relevant information. So my brother, I don't support the fact that you disrespected the Prime Minister of India. But let's go with our Honorable Prime Minister, Ms. Kamala Prasad. This is, sir.
their endurance became the foundation of our nations. Somewhere in the distant echoes of time, somewhere in the annals of history, our ancestors are rejoicing at your visit, whispering through the winds of memory, their spirits stirred by the sacred reunion of their scattered children. This blessed moment affirms what we already know. The ties that bind our two nations are truly unbreakable. Under your leadership, India has extended its hand to the world, but never more so through your compassion, through your benevolence, with the vaccines initiative 4 years ago. When COVID-19 pandemic brought the world to its knees, while some other countries were hoarding medical supplies, you, sir, you ensured that vaccines and supplies reach even the smallest nations, including Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, let's start to tell me when my Prime Minister lying on him. Well, let's start to tell me when Trinbagonian citizen is not supposed to be saying thank you very much despite the city, despite the race, you know.
You brought hope and calm where there was fear. I say again, this was more than diplomacy. This was an act of kinship. This was an act of shared humanity.
Yes.
This was an act of love. And this is one of the many reasons we are deeply proud to bestow upon of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago our nation honor tomorrow will be conferred.
And our president did. They delivered our national's highest honor. And this was well deserved. Mr. Moody was scheduled to come to Trinidad and Tobago, and at the time when Trinidad and Tobago needed the help, needed the support the most, some citizens, we could sit back and talk about, oh, Rowley put that in place. Rowley don't have the power or the authority to call no shots down in India. Rowley don't have the history or the legacy that is connected to India. And if Rowley had any form of respect for India, he would have made sure, while being the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, that the Indian communities in Trinidad and Tobago receive adequate water. He would have personally demanded that from Marvin Gonzalez. But they couldn't make sure that the PNM African areas had water. So God knows the evidences out there, what was done to the Indian population in Trinidad and Tobago. Let me go again. Trinidad and Tobago, I just want to thank you all for tuning in, for viewing. Again, I want to encourage you to like. I want to encourage you to subscribe. Again, you know, 648 television. And only we had to talk.
We are all threads in the same human fabric, bound not by circumstance, but by compassion, resilience, and the timeless truths of our shared heritage.
Yes.
So, Honorable Prime Minister, let us continue this journey together as partners, as brother and sister, and as proud children of a most enduring heritage in history. This ocean of unity, this is our legacy, this is our love. Thank you, sir, and may our people continue to strive forever. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Srimati Kamala Prasad Bisesa, for your words of inspiration and encouragement. As the Prime Minister,
Now, what I wanted to take into consideration here, as much as we have Mr. Moody's history and legacy to look at, as much as we have that evidence to look at, let me tell you what it is we received that night. We end up with Mr. Moody, who has one of the fastest growing GDP. That is a nation from India. We have Mr. Moody, who is a major contributing factor to small nations. Yes, we have Mr. Moody. And when you look at his collection of awards, oh God, he's well recognized. So the world, first to my brother, who cost Mr. Moody's mother and the lady who was at the foot of the plane, whether you're wrong, and I hope you find it in your heart to apologize for that. You're wrong. Because if pictures was, did you see the pictures that was taken after? Was the African boy in the picture? Was he at all in the picture? Was he even standing next to the Indian boys in the picture? Was Mr. Moody in the picture when the African boy was in? I don't understand it. But either way, while we have Mr. Moody, we also have Ms. Kamala Prasad Bisesa. And let me explain to every Trinbagonian citizen, although don't be played with what actually is taking place before our eyes in Trinidad and Tobago. Don't let nobody come to mamaga you, to try to encourage you to disrespect what is actually unfolding before our eyes. Ms. Kamala Prasad Bisesa sat and waited her turn, and we just didn't vote her back into office. It have things that she herself apologized for, decisions that was made in the past, where she say, if given the opportunity, it will be done better. And I don't know about all you, but when it coming from the lady who they say, when they look into stone, when it coming from that lady, the conversation was he would have no sin, pelt real big stone, kill she, murder she. But if you know that you are a human being, and yes, you probably get your life in alignment, you probably have your life in order, because as much as I speaking, I don't want to give the impression, and I don't want the world to feel that they don't have East Indian brothers and sisters who are under pressure too, you know. That is not what I am marketing. What it is I am telling you is that it is okay to talk about Indian poverty. It's okay to talk about Indian big shot. It's okay to talk about Indian this. Is okay to disrespect Indian people in this nation that we live in, Trinidad and Tobago. And this has been done when you look at the overlook. And government never utilized the opportunity to speak to their supporters about that. They never did. So when you have somebody like Mr. Moti now coming to Trinidad and Tobago, and you end up with your prime minister, now your prime minister just, you know, regular prime minister, you know. Your prime minister, you know, prime minister who just splicing, you know. Your prime minister, you know, prime minister who actually play games and things. Your prime minister is a prime minister that was the first female prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Your prime minister, after being the first female prime minister, lost election and went and do the relevant restructuring. So your prime minister didn't just lose election. Your prime minister lost election went and do the relevant structuring and came back because your prime minister, which is my prime minister, which is the Honorable Miss Kamala Persad-Bissessar, again, she's the second female prime minister, which in Trinidad and Tobago is the only female prime minister. And on top of that, she continued to utilize her authority to represent the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and not just Indian people. Everybody. I would be damned if I side in a conversation that Miss Kamala, I know for a fact, Miss Kamala Persad-Bissessar have enough common sense to know that she's an Indian person. And I know she know her Indian community has been battered and bruised. I have enough sense to know that she know her community, it have the Walis that come up, and because the wrong government was in office, people wasn't given the opportunity to get water to wash down their premises, which is a total disrespect to our religion, to our faith, to our people. She know exactly what her people were going through in this country. And ladies and gentlemen, on April 28th, I, African Irving Felix, and many others across the land, you could tune in my opinion box when you had the time. Many of us across the land resoundingly came out and publicly encouraged our families and our friends to vote for Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar. You know why? Because we come to terms that she's a human being. You know why? Because we come to terms that she understands the shortcomings of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. You know why? Because she's not too big. She's not too old. She's not too uppity up to say she's sorry. She didn't sit back and say, I don't have to say sorry. What are you telling me about? I could have organized all the Indian in a crowd and we could have them in an auditorium and tell them sorry. But to hell with that is not what she did. Every single thing that was done, every decision that was made, whether we liked it or not, she did it for the benefit of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And she fixed the problem. Because there were those who were wrong her the last time in. Where are they? You could tune into Facebook and certain avenues. Some of them yap it on TikTok. This is what they're doing now. When they tell you they have the structure and the order, probably they do. Probably they have all the fix it. But you know what they don't have? Discipline. What they don't have is integrity. What they don't have is respect. Like what they don't have. And they don't have the will to apologize. So when you see Mr. Moody and our Honorable Prime Minister, Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, see, senior counsel, by our responsibility as straight by, I would be damned to be an African in this country and be a part of a disrespectful, unhealthy, guys like, hey, how you want to bring help to a vagrant and acting like a vagrant? Why would you act so disgusting towards a prime minister that's visiting our country? The prime minister that we have installed, you self stood up on social media and you talk about the former African prime minister and even the young boy who well mixed, barely an Indian, nowhere close to African. All of them collectively huddle up and they laughed at Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar. They tried to belittle Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar. They tried to break she will. They tried to break she reputation. They tried to break she legacy. They tried to scrap the history. But God is alive. This is why I just tell brothers and sisters, hey, if you is an Indian that have nothing to do with me, you be an Indian and make sure when it's Diwali time, send out the invitations, please. Were you telling me about you have no reason to continue to be speaking in some kind of order to cushion the facts? Were you telling me if I as an African understand that I have the responsibility to do the relevant research so that my children could understand that yes, you is African, but let me tell you something, we have family who mix too. And if it is you consider yourself as African, well, hold on to your African roots and understand we came from slavery. But over the period of time, if you look at the Africans along the way who accumulate things, You would never hear them sitting on social media. You would never hear them in a conversation cussing up a next leader, especially if they don't belong to the African population. To the African people who actually own things, who actually own businesses, they don't be a part of those nastiness. They don't. They don't. So the fact that over these few days of conversations that honestly it is unhealthy for our children. Stand up strong as an African. Stand up brave as an African. But don't vex with the Indian for doing the same thing, nah, man. You must be irresponsible, drunk, misguided, drastically disrespectful. The Indian Prime Minister coming to Trinidad and Tobago, and you will put out that the Prime Minister, who is labeled as one of the best leaders globally, you would put out that the man come Trinidad and Tobago to walk Obia, and you keep your African picture right there. Somehow you make videos and put out these disrespectful, nasty things. And all you know that I tell all you before I leave to go up the road, it have people that we spoke to. All you keep telling Trinidadians, all you keep telling Tobagonians, all you telling people around the world, Indian people that be cussing up all you, and Indian people that bad talk all you, and as all you, and everything all you say, all you keep saying, as all you turn all your back. As you turn your back, and gone, Indian people bad talking you, all of them, man. All you cut out them foolishness now, man. Cut out them dotishness now, man. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to bring you a piece of the Prime Minister of India.
Janmashtami are celebrated here with joy, spirit, and pride. Chautal and Baithak Gana continue to thrive here. I can see the warmth of many familiar faces here. And I see curiosity in the bright eyes of younger generation, keen to know and grow together. Truly, our bonds go back.
Especially to the Indian population in Trinidad and Tobago. Based on where we are as a people in Trinidad and Tobago, if you don't know where you're coming from, it is impossible to know where you're going. In 2025, the United National Congress and the coalition with the leadership of Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar was able to host the Prime Minister of India. This audio that I am playing here, I want to encourage you. All you please download this information and please let all your children hear it. All you might feel the children are listening, but because we're not running the content, that is why a lot of the children and them conducting it like they're conducting it. Please bring the upliftment. Please understand that 100 days journey, and when you land on the shores of Trinidad and Tobago, nobody gave nobody the authority for Indian people in this country to start talking a kind of way like they did not contribute. This is what is going on in Trinidad and Tobago. We as Africans, we want to walk with the chest up high. We control CPEP. We control URP. We control Forest Reserve. We control the Parliament. We control the Senate. And as one Indian answer, there's a problem. Well, my responsibility is to remind people in Trinidad and Tobago, together we aspire, together we achieve. I am correctly asking and encouraging my governing authority to keep the doors of education open, because brothers and sisters, based on what it is we're seeing going on in this government, if you could do the work, you're getting hired, right? So it had to be Alexander, didn't have to be a Indian man to be the Minister of Homeland Security. Thank you. Miss Khadija Amin didn't have to be full Indian to hold on the Ministry of Local Government. If you understand what I'm telling you, okay? And as much as it's that, boy, I'm feeling good because when my boy Pararat hold the paper and Mr. David Lee and them hold the paper, they represent their communities loudly and proudly. And it's time that every Indian do the damn same. It's time that every Chinese-looking person do the same. It's time that African people practice the right conversation and do the same. Let me don't just be talking loud in the population. Oh, and we control CPEP, and we control this, and we control that, and we can't even help ourselves. Cut the foolishness out. Cut it out. It's time for us to start a bill. Together we aspire, together we achieve. And if it is, you're looking at the Indian population, bringing what I'm telling all you, the people and them, Ms. Kamala Prasad, the United National Congress, whoever organized it, we had a little wait in the sun. But when you reach in the venue, full air-conditioned place, well-respected as an African, sit here as an Indian, sit here, usher dealing with everybody, no separation, no division, everybody shoulder to shoulder. I believe I was just a little more blessed in the crowd because I had a sister next to me. Well, I recall her name yesterday, who was translating because she actually knew the language. And it had a lot of people in the crowd who know the language. And come on, let me be real now, man. Let me go.
Well beyond geography and generations. Friends, I know of your deep faith in Prabhu Shri Ram.
Yes.
एक 180 साल बीतल हो, मन न भूलल हो, भजन राम के हर दिल में गुंजल हो.
You see, while all this was going on here, I had a sister right next to me translating everything. But it was a blessed experience.
The Ram Leelas in Sandi Grandi
Listen.
and Dow Village
Listen, and Dow Village
are said to be the truly unique. Ramcharitmanas says, Ram Dhamada Puri Suhavani. It means the holy city of Prabhu Sri Ram is so beautiful that its glory is spread across the world.
Yes, man. Yes, man.
I'm sure you all welcome the return of after 500 years with great joy.
Yes, man.
We remember you had sent holy water and silas for building the Ram.
Let me explain something here, especially to my African brothers and sisters. When I went into Kalicharan, because we went to get it was a brooch or some kind of thing, but we had an upgrade. And our sister who was cashing, she said, well, how to dress up nice, so we're going. And we told her, well, we get the opportunity to go to the event, the Prime Minister of India. And she was like, for real? But I'm so happy for all you. And thing, and listen what she asked me to do. She said, Irvin, listen, I just wanted to if you could get to the crowd and just touch him on his shoulder. He ain't about to see you, just touch him and say, the lady, the cashier by Kalichara, and say, she love you and thank you very much. And but not her alone, after coming out and dealing with her next lady now, and she was explaining to me, she says, see that man, the inspiration that man is to our family, that man is to the Indian people. Felix, that is a blessing. To any African who listening right now, you see how some African people that speak about Burkina Faso, the president? That is how it is. I catch the same balance of compassion that is going on. And that is so good to know that brothers and sisters quite in Trinidad, because come on, let me be really Indian man has to fight for land. They still have to fight to get even the same deal. The same deal. It wasn't a comfort thing. Mr. Pandey and all of them had was to form unions and all these things, and then the evidence is out there. And between all of that, let me be real African people. Between all of that, let me be real brothers and sisters. Between all of that, the Indian man navigate, the African navigate. Why are we? It's like we just targeting the East Indian population in the country. It's like nothing cannot be done. And the sad and degrading thing about it is when you look through the archives for the election we're gone, is senior African people who supported the PNM put up those content. They say they rather suffer under PNM. You know what has gone? All kind of thing popping up now. All kind of thing popping up now. You know what has gone when you're speaking real talk? But before I went, I say I want to encourage every single person in Trinidad and Tobago. Only understand that we have a role and we have a responsibility. And the African community have so much building to do. The fact that the same Africans took the time to march in front of the parliament when Mr. Moody was in Trinidad and Tobago. It shows you how they don't have your interests at heart. The Indian man is not your enemy. Again, I bring you the relevant information because Mr. Moody explained himself clear. And what he explained wasn't racialism.
Yeah.
Listen.
I've also brought something here with a similar sense of devotion.
Yes.
It is my honor to bring a replica of Ram Mandir and some water. And water from the river Saryu. उत्तर दिशि बह सरजू पावनी
Yes.
जा मज्जनते बिनासा मम समीप नर पावही बासा. प्रभु श्री राम से glory of Ayodhya springs from the holy Saryu. Whoever takes a dip in its water finds eternal union. और पवित्र संगम का ये जल आस्था का अमृत है. ये वो प्रवाहमान धारा है जो हमारे मूल्यों को, हमारे संस्कारों को हमेशा जीवंत रखती है. You all know that earlier this year, the world's largest spiritual gathering, the Mahakumbh, took place. I have the honor to carry water from the Mahakumbh also with me. I request Kamala ji to offer the holy waters of the Saryu River and Mahakumbh to the Ganga Dhara here. May this holy water bless the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Friends, we deeply value the strength and support of our diaspora. With over 35 million people spread across the world, the Indian diaspora is our pride. And I have often said, each one of you is a Rashtradoot, an ambassador of India's values, culture, and heritage.
Listen, if I was an Indian in Trinidad and Tobago, when you say that, you are labeled as a racist, then you can't vex that it are other people who are ignorant. Because if you do not train your children and you do not train your sons and your daughters to speak how this man's speaking, I think that will help the African population too. Because what it is I saying, based on what it is I saw, the knowledge and the conversation this man bringing, this man actually uplifting the Indian population. And the nice thing with it, they invite Africans too. So I believe what it is I am doing is the right thing. What I saw, I like it. And I want it for my own people too. And if I want good for my people, I can sit down and bad talk somebody else. If I want good for my children, I can sit down and condemn somebody else. If I want to be a good leader, well, then the time comes for you to understand you have to be a good follower. I continue to thank my governing authority for hosting the Prime Minister of India. Well, let me go again.
This year, when we hosted the Pravasi Bharati Divas in Bhubaneswar, Her Excellency President Christine Carla Kangaluji was our chief guest. A few years ago, Prime Minister Kamala Prasad Vishesharji had also honored us with her presence.
Yes.
At the Pravasi Bharati Divas, I announced several initiatives to honor and connect with the Girmitia community across the world. We are mapping the past and bringing people closer for the bright future.
Yes.
We are actively working on creating a comprehensive database of the Girmitia community, documenting the villages and cities in India from which their ancestors migrated.
Listen. Those who listening are not understanding, he actually talking about our Indian brothers and sisters, well, who are West Indian now, but the natural roots was really, they're from the East. India is in the East, right? And he's speaking about their ancestors, the great-great-grandparents, the grandparents. He's speaking about those who actually made the journey. And he just bringing the support and the encouragement that where you come from, we didn't forget you. Where you come from, and I don't want you to forget where you come from, because again, as I told you, if you don't know where you're coming from, it is impossible to know the direction you're going. Let me go again.
Identifying the places where they have settled, studying and preserving the legacy of the Girmitia ancestors, and working to organize World Girmitia conferences regularly. This will support the deep and historic ties with our brothers and sisters in Trinidad and Tobago as well. Today, I'm happy to announce that OCI cards will now be given to the sixth generation of the Indian diaspora in Trinidad and Tobago.
Listen. Now, this is the part where political games started being played. OCI cards will be given to the Indian diaspora of Trinidad and Tobago, 5 and 6 generations. Again, Africans didn't leave India on the Fatal Razak and came to Trinidad and Tobago. Our Indian brothers and sisters did it. So if you come to deliver something for the country, that is one thing. But it would be irresponsible for you to not bring something to directly impact the Indian population, because again, that is India Prime Minister. He's a factual Indian, and I am 100% sure when he sent vaccine, he didn't concern about OCI. He sent vaccine because the people of Trinidad and Tobago needed the support. I am sure when he brought the laptops, he ain't concerned about if an African child get the laptops. No, the laptops had to share. But there are things that Indian people went through in this country. So to the African population, not because we have African people playing dress up and they're not standing up for African people, they're not bringing the relevant programs, they're not inviting the relevant persons so that we could receive the relevant knowledge. Probably as time go along, I probably might get financially stable to make the relevant contribution and the relevant endorsement. But I am telling you, if that and when that is done in the future is because I was inspired by what I saw being done today. This is what brought the inspiration, because I left that building feeling connected. I left the building jealous, me not Indian. Because the conversation to understand that the leader of the nation, who represented all the millions of people of the nation, come to bring assurance to the brothers and sisters who took the indigenous deal, who came here. They were the poor ones. They were the poor ones. And today, these same poor ones, African people, are so shocked when they see Indian people that they're pretending that they're ignorant. They're pretending that they're violent. But it's just because we did not bring the relevant information to our people. We did not explain to our people that we have the responsibility to hold on to the facts. And the facts is that we start at the bottom of the barrel. The facts is that, brothers and sisters, our names came from slave masters. And that is not a conversation you could have with the majority of the senior Africans in this country. So until Trinidad and Tobago reach to that point, but I can't wait. So I would utilize the structure that I am a Trinbagonian citizen. And if the Indian community inspiring their people, well then okay, suffer it to be so. I will inspire my children. I will inspire myself, because if that is what it takes to bring about the relevant encouragement and endorsement to all the citizens, well then no problem. We are Trinbagonian citizens, and the conversation is here. Every creed and race finds an equal place, and may God bless our nation. So if you was growing up in this country and at no point in time and you think we would have an Indian president, you're irresponsible. If you as a Trinbagonian in this country today and you think that we're not supposed to have an Indian prime minister, you're disrespectful. Ladies and gentlemen, let me get back to the conversation.
You are not just connected by blood or surname. You are connected by belonging. India looks out to you. India welcomes you.
Yes.
And India embraces you. Friends, प्रधानमंत्री कमला जी के पूर्वज बिहार के बक्सर में रहा करते थे.
Yes.
कमला जी स्वयं वहां जाकर भी आई है। लोग इन्हें बिहार की बेटी मानते हैं। People in India consider Prime Minister Kamala ji as the daughter of Bihar.
Lovely.
यहाँ उपस्थित अनेक लोगों के पूर्वज बिहार से ही आए हैं। बिहार की विरासत भारत के साथ ही दुनिया का भी गौरव है। लोकतंत्र हो, राजनीति हो, कूटनीति हो, हायर एजुकेशन हो, बिहार ने सदियों पहले दुनिया को ऐसे अनेक विषयों में नई दिशा दिखाई थी। मुझे विश्वास है 21 बिहार की धरती से नई प्रेरणाएं, नए अवसर निकलेंगे। लाइक कमला जी, देयर आर here whose roots lie in Bihar. The heritage of Bihar is a matter of pride for all of us. I'm sure everyone among you feels proud when India grows. For New India, you all have must cheered when India's Chandrayaan landed on the moon. The place
Listen.
where it landed, we have named it Shiv Shakti Point. You must have also heard the news recently. An Indian astronaut is on board the International Space Station even as we speak.
Yes.
We are now working on a manned space mission Gaganyaan. The time is not far when an Indian will walk on the moon and India will have its own space station. हम अब तारों को सिर्फ गिनते नहीं हैं, आदित्य मिशन के रूप में उनके पास तक जाने का प्रयास करते हैं। हमारे लिए अब चंदा मामा दूर के नहीं है। हम अपनी मेहनत से असंभव को भी संभव बना रहे हैं। India's achievements in space are not just ours. We are sharing its fruits with the rest of the world. Friends,
we are sharing the truth with the rest of the world. The list of things that he just called there is things that actually happening. If you've been paying attention, you would know that they really have an Indian astronaut on the ship. They would understand that everything the Prime Minister is saying is the truth. Again, let's go.
India is the fastest growing major economy in the world.
Listen, India is the faster growing major, not just economy, you know. The word major get to fit in the conversation. Not me said it, the Prime Minister said it, and when you do the research, the information is the information. So I believe a lot of the people who use disrespectful statements towards the Prime Minister of India, a lot of the people, especially my brother, you cost the man mother. But I wish you all luck along the way, boy, because I honestly believe and I know that that is going to bring heaviness and blight to all you, because that is wrong, and that is wrong, and that is wrong. And if it is you consider yourself an influencer, if on a daily basis you know that you just influence people, you're supposed to take into consideration. Nobody saying you couldn't get vexed. Nobody saying you couldn't talk about the situation. But the fact that you reach so far to speak about India Prime Minister, it shows how far you will go to prove our point.
Soon, we will be among the top 3 economies of the world. The fruits of India's growth and progress are reaching the most needy. भारत ने दिखाया है कि गरीबों को सशक्त करके, एम्पावर करके गरीबी को हराया जा सकता है। पहली बार करोड़ों लोगों में विश्वास जागा है कि भारत गरीबी से मुक्त हो सकता है। The World Bank has noted that India had lifted over 250 million people above extreme poverty in the last decade. India's growth is being powered by our innovative and energetic youth.
Yes.
Today, India is the 3rd largest startup hub in the world. Nearly half of these startups also have women
Yes.
as director.
Yes.
Nearly 120 startups have got unicorn status. National missions for AI, semiconductor, and quantum computing are becoming the new engines of growth.
Talk now.
In a way,
Talk.
innovation is becoming a mass movement. India's Unified Payments Interface, or UPI, has revolutionized digital payments. Nearly 50% of the world's real-time digital transactions take place in India. 50%. I congratulate Trinidad and Tobago for being the first country in the region to adopt UPI. Now, sending money will be as easy as sending a good morning text message.
Listen.
And I promise it will be faster than West Indies bowling. Friends, our mission manufacturing is working to make in India a manufacturing hub.
Yes, man.
We have become the world's 2nd largest mobile manufacturer. We are exporting railway locomotives to the world. Our defense efforts have increased 20-fold in just the last decade. We are not just making in India, we are making for the world. As we grow, we are ensuring that it is of mutual benefit to the world.
Yes.
Friends, today's India is a land of opportunities.
Yes.
Whether it is businesses,
this is what people don't understand. Up to now, nobody cannot type up, nobody cannot put up the racial part. People cuss, they say the man is a racist. The whole structure, everything is a racist. Everything is racist and racist and racist. There we go.
Tourism, education, or healthcare. India has a lot to offer. Your ancestors took a long and difficult journey over 100 days across the seas to reach here, Saat Samandar Par. Today, that same journey takes just a few hours. I encourage you all to visit India more in person, not just virtually on social media.
Listen,
Visit the villages of your ancestors.
listen,
Walk the soil they walked on.
listen,
Bring your children,
listen,
bring your neighbors.
listen to me.
Bring anyone who enjoys chai and
Listen,
a good story.
listen.
We will welcome you all with open arms, warm hearts, and jalebi.
Angela. Doctor,
With these words, I thank you all once again for the love and affection you have shown to me. I especially thank to Prime Minister Kamalaji for honoring me with your highest national award. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. नमस्कार. सीताराम. जय श्री राम.
Let's all stand. Thank you very much.
ladies and gentlemen, I told earlier that I had to bring this piece of information to. I had to bring the piece of information to Ole because what I heard, I and all guy invitation. When Mr. Moody passed, I ain't get to be stand up arm's length to him. But he 100% sure know that it had Africans in the building. I sure with the bell ringing, he had enough sense to know 9 out of 10, it just might be an African ringing that bell. Because that tend to be a kind of spiritual thing in Trinidad and Tobago. So that just might be he had enough sense to know that. And yet still he invited everybody to India. The man didn't condemn nobody. Come on, as William say. Great speech. Great speech. Magnificent speech. And this is what make Africans, some Africans, and they portray that they're representing the African community. So on behalf of those folks, I, Irvin Felix, the 648 family, Sharon and my wife, and all the African people who do not endorse that I want Prime Minister, Mr. Janet, I would like to apologize on behalf of the population of some of the nasty statements. And I am praying that this live, because you know negative content or share, I'm praying that this live make its way to India, because I know India have a team taking in what is being displayed yesterday to bring the information, and I had conversation about Trinidad and Tobago yesterday, and I could only see was more respect, more planning, more ways that we could connect Trinidad and Tobago, more ways that we could help build Trinidad and Tobago and India. And that is healthy. I say that that is respectful. And it is also grateful. I am 100% sure. Matter of fact, if the Indian population in Trinidad and Tobago don't look at it that way and need you to look at it this way, one of the fastest growing GDP globally, and the Prime Minister who is in charge of the nation still have enough time to remember that he, his country, his lineage, his bloodline have people scattered all over the world due to unforeseen circumstances and due to those getting deals. And he have a responsibility that every single Indian globally, every single Indian understand what is being done. Is being done because it have to be done. And you are also a part of it. So bring your neighbors, bring your friends, bring your family. Come and show people where you came from. Come and let people hear the stories of where you came from. And if as an African, you see racialism in that, something wrong with your head. Something is wrong with your head. Hear them out and about marching while the Prime Minister here. I wonder who were they marching for? Is it that the petroleum workers was making too much money so we didn't bound to march for them? And some metal workers, was it that they were making too much money as citizens so we didn't have to march for them? Wasn't the petroleum workers, those families that were ripped apart? We have men dying today. These men paid for the medical, they pay for the dental, they pay for the dental. And I, Irvin Felix, after losing two uncles who was major contributing factor when it comes to the oil and gas in Trinidad and Tobago, I cannot give you the guarantee or give you confirmation that my uncle wives could go and receive free medical and free dental. And these things were already paid for. And yet still the former administration and their supporters who continue to huddle up African people only when they personally need support. They were able to encourage African people to come out and walk and talk. And people like they didn't even understand what was being done. They didn't even understand why the India Prime Minister. So you brought out African people in groups and huddled them up. And the conversation is Mr. Moody come to Trinidad to work Obia. That is what they did. And they did that on behalf of all the Africans in this country. And if we as Africans understand that that is wrong, if we as Africans, any of us, have any form of respect, and we know that endorsing a conversation that is not healthy, it is not beneficial, the only thing that I see comes out of that is inspiration. Inspiration. And wasn't just inspiration for Indian people, because if I sit down here as an African and I am telling you I don't have to forget my roots, but the only thing I could tell you about African is that I had the image of an African. They brought me down to the Caribbean as slaves. And we end up in Trinidad and Tobago. That is as far as my history go. And you feel I don't want more of my history. You feel I don't want to find out about my grandfathers and them who were slaughtered and all those who were thrown off the boat. But nobody ain't bringing it for we. And when I see the Indian people allowing it to be done, I hope some African person, and if it had to take me and your support, those of us who understand that we cannot continue in this country with racialism, separation, and division. Yes, we want the history, but our responsibility is not to train our children to fight down the Indian man and go against the Indian man because they're teaching the children where they come from. And it is sad to see that this is what is being done in this country. It is sad to see that this is being marketed and participated. And when you look at the amount of African persons who genuinely did not get help, the same persons who encouraging them to come out today was not speaking on their behalf just 2 months ago. That is the same African leaders who had the responsibility to bring the information. They don't even talk about Mandela. If you bring up Butler anywhere around them, the information, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to teach us it. They turn around and tell we the one of the very few Africans who stayed law-abiding, who continue being contributing factor. They make Miss Karen Nunez the Sheriff jump a fence to go Mr. Pandey funeral. Wicked. Watch how they speak about the Dupree family. Africans again. Wicked. I would be damned to continue to ask my generation and ask the Africans in Trinidad and Tobago to continue to let that be a part of your history. No. No. I want to know where I come from. And you had all the resources and all they didn't bring it. You had all the pens, all they had in all their hand. All they didn't bring it. So when I sit back and see it properly well demonstrated to me, all Miss Kamala and Mr. Moody did is show all the African people in this country that it could be done. It could be done. We could uplift, we could promote, we could endorse our people. And I don't have to be in Trinidad alone. I could end up being the Prime Minister of India. It is my responsibility. It is Mr. Moody's responsibility with the authority he have. But thank God the man is reaching out to his people. I said it before and I'm saying it again. African people somehow they're so racial. All they like to stand up and talk a whole set of big boy talk. A whole set of big boy talk. African this and African that. All they sit down and boast about PNM education so long. And up to now, all you can make one phone call. Listen to me. All you can make one phone call to get one African historian to show up in Trinidad on a canoe, on a boat, to invite the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago down to Africa. Whether Indian or African, make the door be open. Because what we're dealing with in this country, we cannot afford to do it segregated. Here, every creed and race finds an equal place, and may God bless our nation. We taking serious business and make it political business. We taking serious business and make it political business. Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar don't have to convince us to vote again. We already did it. She don't have to tell we that the former administration is one of the most corrupt administration that has ever hit the parliament doors of Trinidad and Tobago. We already know it. To the brothers and sisters, especially the African ones, it's time for you to wake up in the PNM. It's time for you to wake up. Shake that spirit of laziness. Shake it off. Do not allow these people to continue manipulating you, shortchanging your generation. The doors of opportunity continue to be closed and have you cussing up prime ministers who making major contributions to the people. You notice I didn't say India alone, because based on what it is Mr. Moody is doing, yes, his responsibility is India, but his responsibility is also all the Indians globally. And if it is he could find time, energy, and effort, well then, our responsibility is to be a part of progress. Is to be a part of upliftment. So if those who had the authority to bring my history for me, the only history I could turn to is YouTube. Because when you give those who play and dress up in Trinidad and Tobago, their whole format is to tell you that the Indian man is your enemy. Them studying to play dress up. So if all they don't want to bring the African history for me, and I'm going to learn the Indian history, well, let's fight a so. I'm Indian in my family. Tanti Lila, bless good afternoon. Asha, Gigi, and France, all bless good afternoon. To my neighbor, Miss Kamala, bless good afternoon. To my partner, Rajan Stonesy, Fatih Quiggy, Donna, Miss Dula, bless good afternoon. Bless good afternoon to the entire East Indian population, the West Indian population now because it mixed. Because we still are elders originally, because just the other day, for our arrival day, we saw a Tanti come out who was 100. We saw her. So we have people who still alive, who lived the experience. So brothers and sisters, I want to encourage you going forward. That one close to us right now. Let me see if I could find him. Find that conversation. Well, I realized running past, but you know, we wasn't able to go up for the past 2 days. But at the end of the day, we have a responsibility. So let me see if I could find this thing here. Oh, yes. Let me see if I could find this video here, this song, this thing here. So let me see if I can. Right. We are one close by. So then our responsibility is to hold on. We are one in the country here who Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar give her opportunity to represent the people. The nice thing with him is that he doing it in a way as I want. You don't have to come up to tell me that, verbally tell me that the Indian man is my enemy. I just need you to come up and talk facts. So I want to run a little piece of this here. It's only fair. Let me bring it down local again. Again, we saying thank you very much to Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC and the entire coalition. We have to send some love to Tobago. TPP, big up yourself. Mr. Fali and the entire team, big up yourself. But brothers and sisters, I have to run piece of this content here before we go. This is Mr. John Jeremy in the House of Representatives. Honorable Senator, ladies and gentlemen, SC, our Attorney General. Senior Counsel.
Speaker, I propose to begin. I propose to begin with just some introductory remarks, and they stem from matters raised in the course of the budget. The debate on the supplementary appropriations this afternoon. Now, first of all, I'm not an economist, but I thought that our business here this afternoon dealt with the supplementary appropriations. Now, what I understand by that, I'm not an economist, my friend there is supposed to be an economist. But the minister.
Now, what you're seeing here, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what I told you. I tell you straight. I like the fact that Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar is not afraid to let me know she's an Indian. Pararat is not afraid to display he's an Indian. I like the fact that Mr. John Jeremy know that he's an African, he have a role and a responsibility, and each and every one of them collectively coming together to represent all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. What it is we're seeing here This is Mr. John Jeremy giving his contribution, ladies and gentlemen. And something that I telling you that Trinidad and Tobago have come to realize, with all the years that the PNM government has been in power, with all the years they have controlled the halls of parliament, they don't know law. They don't know parliament behavior. They don't know how to have respect. And listen to this. This is basic facts here.
Is bringing this supplementary appropriations because the budget presented by my colleagues, former friends on the other side, most of them, some my enemies, but former friends on the other side, well, that budget was presented by them.
Correct.
If there was a shortfall in the budget, obviously the shortfall has to be supplemented.
Yes.
If that is so, I think it is clear that it is not the job of the minister to say to the House this afternoon, well, this is what is to come in a year, or this is what is to come in 2 years, when he has sat on his behind for the past 10 years. I'm not sure that he has had.
Attorney General, can I just ask you to change that phrase a little bit?
He has sat without the use of his legs for the last 10 years.
Listen.
And in that time, he has raised little or no concern about the strategic direction of the economy.
Listen.
Which is in large part the reason why he and a bunch of miscreants now find themselves where they are.
Yeah. Miscreant is a bit of a strong word. Perhaps you could use, as I said before.
Now find themselves where they are. Lack of planning, a lack of communication to people, and a growing disconnect between the haves, those who play golf with a particular gentleman, as I will develop later on, and those who do not, because that is how our society developed. And also, and I hate to say this, but it also developed certain stratifications which were not normally known to the social scientists. So having put that apart, I did not rise because I'm accustomed to their foul language, and I say that without apology. I understand that a comment was made from one of the individuals who is better at foul language, the member for Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West, today, who always has his mic open. He has the unfortunate misfortune of opening his mic when he wishes to say things about grandmothers, about persons on this side. Just for the record, I believe my colleagues here were the ones who clued me into this, that the word dunce was passed around.
That's right.
I didn't hear it.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on standing order 48-1. The member has clearly lost his way.
48-1. Overruled for plain and obvious reasons.
No, again, I say I had to let that run and reach Friday. Now, these persons who getting up on behalf of African in the parliament, now mind me, they're calling same African calling African dunce. When I tell you about Mr. John Jeremy, Mr. John Jeremy, who accumulated his education over the period of time, Mr. Senior Counsel John Jeremy, they allowed Faris and Stuarty and all of them fellas to disrespect Mr. John Jeremy. Same thing that now allowed his followers to do, Mr. Moody. So it looks to me like there's a percentage of the African support in this country. They just don't want progress. Nobody who's successful they want to hear about. Nobody who actually talking about positivity, unity, and togetherness. That is not what they want. All they want is for the people to continue saying, all they want, we want PNM. I ain't had water for months. All they want, we want PNM. Can't buy material and school books. What all they want? We want PNM. And when you do ask why we want PNM, it's because somebody told the African population in Trinidad and Tobago that the only persons who are legally entitled to run and govern this country is African people. So you see, when it is you see somebody like Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, anytime an Indian prime minister end up in the parliament, Africans in Trinidad and Tobago will not be able to access finances for the businesses. I left this comment up on the page here. Look at this comment. When I see Rowley never signed that paper for African businesses to get loan from the African Exempt Bank, I know that man is wicked. I want all the Africans all tell me when this information start to be lie. Tell me that Rowley wasn't the prime minister at the time and when they brought the support and he did not accept the endorsement for his own people. And Africans in Trinidad and Tobago, because of racialism, only because of racialism, all you're continuing to support a government that shows no respect to our grandmothers, shows no respect to our children. They have our children going to school where the school building is drastically dilapidated. They have our children going to school where the school buildings are leaking. They have our children going to school where they don't have proper fencing. They have our children going to school in environments where blazing hot. Blazing hot. And they chain up the parents. The only thing they're supposed to want. PNM. And when Mr. Eric Williams said, mind me, Mr. PNM Eric Williams said, mind me, the first Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the persons underneath him, they told us that PNM is an African party. Mind me, Mr. Eric Williams, who know that he was in Point 14, which is predominantly a PNM area. Mind me, Mr. Eric Williams explained to the people of Point 14 years ago when he came, if Trinidad and Tobago was a donkey, Point 14 would have been right under the tail. You know why? Because when Point 14 was asked what they wanted, all they wanted was PNM. Well, that is not what the Indian man in Trinidad and Tobago want. That is not what the average African in Trinidad and Tobago want. We want the opportunity to take care of our families. We want the opportunity that we could go out with our families free, that we don't have to get robbed. We want the opportunities where our brothers and sisters, our nieces and our nephews actually get an opportunity to be a part of building Trinidad and Tobago. What we want our local contractors to get the opportunity to help to build our country. Especially done by me, I need my local contractors to actually take charge of Trimmer. What we want, we understand the structure of LNG and we understand the percentage that the government of own. But what I want some of those educated scholars that the UNC have to figure out a way, because up to now they cannot explain to us how TIS end up in the Atlantic LNG, what qualifications they have that Mr. Theo Richards don't have, why Mr. Theo Richards was bypassed, why Demos was bypassed, why Hydrotech was bypassed. Come on. Why the local governing structure, thank you, Lils, of Trinidad and Tobago continue to sit back. Hello, thank you. The Indian man in Penal wasn't able to speak loudly and proudly. We make sure they have water to celebrate Diwali. So you could imagine the type of pressure that was applied to the Indian community. And to the Indian community, what all they experiencing is joke to what the PNM do to the African community. It's joke. So the fact that we as Africans could come out publicly and tell you that was disrespectful, we don't accept it, we don't endorse it, that is cruelty. I pray that the Prime Minister of India, I pray that his team, I pray that this life reach all the relevant persons. Again, I want to thank the Prime Minister of India and his team with Ankara and the delegates. Thank you all for coming to Trinidad and Tobago and bringing greetings to the people. I want to thank Ms. Kamala Prasad and the United National Congress and the Coalition and TPP for giving me, Irvin Felix, an opportunity with my lovely wife to be in the venue. I want to thank you all for pushing the narrative that East Indian people and West Indian people must understand where we come from. I thank you all for pushing that narrative. Thank you all for opening the minds and the eyes and the hearts of Trinidad and Tobago. And I pray that anywhere Mr. Moody go, I pray that he continue to be a blessing. I pray he continue to be an inspiration. I pray he continue to do what it is he are doing by bringing the support and going and meet his people globally. That is respect. That is love. That is encouragement. And that is how you encourage your people. Ms. Kamala Prasad says, hats off to you, mother. Hats off to the administration and hats off to how you treat the followers. Ladies and gentlemen, is respect and order. And this is what I saw. This is what I experienced.
For our country, we must have regard. Forget all your differences, let me start to build.
Listen, anyone just driving in and out of Port Aspen, see how the B-term looks with PNM in government for over 50 years. Should we be ashamed? Yes, we should be ashamed to say that there's a PNM in this country. I want to know why PNM was marching in front of the Red House. Were they marching because it's time that brothers and sisters in Silots be given an opportunity as citizens? Were they marching because it's high time that CPF workers get raised? We can't afford it now, but we could start the conversation. Were they marching because of petrotrin workers? Were they marching because over $144 billion was borrowed and the average citizen in Trinidad and Tobago cannot see or say where it was spent? Were the PNM marching because of those things? When your child needs books, they tell the world that education is drastically free. They told us that, and when you as a parent go in school, because the school say it as school grant, and you could borrow books. And when your child and you as a parent go in school, they don't have the books. Brothers and sisters, remember, the United National Congress just won the election with the support of the coalition and the TPP. They just won the election. School looking to close and open back. So me expecting this one to run smooth. They will put in the best effort. But again, I hope you remember the conversation when Mr. John Jeremy explained. The PNM was the ones who made the budget. So if they under budget, the United National Congress with the coalition have the responsibility to make the adjustments, because April 28, the people of Trinidad and Tobago had enough of the PNM. We understood that the PNM have no respect for women the way they treat Miss Penelope Beckles. We understood since then that the PNM continue to disrespect women. They make Miss Karen Nunez Shera jump a fence to go a funeral. This is what they did. And they laughed, grat, forgetting that we had daughters, forgetting that we had wives, forgetting that we have mothers in our presence. This is what they did. And when the crime was outrageous and out of hand, when young men were kicking down women and grabbing their bags and taking their chains off their neck, the PNM government did nothing when it comes to national security to bring about the relevant structure or the relevant endorsement so that the police officers could effectively execute their task. They were out there with expired bulletproof vests. They were out there, how much 1,000 officers with 2,000 cameras, and the PNM government, over $144 billion disappear. Poof, in thin air. Not one African community was uplifted. And if the African community wasn't uplifted, how the hell could you think that they did something positive? So if you are UNC and you think it's years now, because your MP win the last time and it's years now your MP help you, and UNC win now and it's time for UNC, let me tell you something. If PNM was in power and PNM helped PNM people for 10 years, and your minister happen to be skillful enough to win the election because you make up your mind, you're not diverting. Well, then understand, you have to be one of the persons talking to Trinidad and Tobago and letting them know, give me government an opportunity to put things in place. Thank you very much, April. I see that. Thank you very much, William. The TKT, I work on the planning point 14 for 10 years. That's zone there. Understand what's going on. Thank you very much. Remember, this is not PNM country. No. This is not PNM country. And you notice UNC and how we telling people this is UNC country. You notice they ain't telling me that. This is the people of Trinidad and Tobago's country. Our government, we know, is the fit government to run our country. This is why I just make sure my brothers and sisters know why I have full confidence in my Prime Minister. So, ladies and gentlemen, as much as you in your spaces and you're praying for your family, I encourage you to pray for the Honorable Prime Minister. As much as you're praying for your children, you're praying for your marriage, you're praying for your business, lift up your Attorney General. Please pray for your Minister of Homeland Security. Make sure and lift up your Minister of Local Government. Brothers and sisters, we have a responsibility. When you hear people like Ms. Vandana Moet and them is outside, our responsibility is to cover them with prayer and make sure and support them as they walk, because when they walk with our endorsement. When they talk with our endorsement. Don't let nobody tell you, boy, don't support Vandana because she's an Indian, or don't support Alexander because he's a Creole, and Khadija, like, she know where she is because she mixed. Let me cut that foolishness out. Together we aspire, together we achieve. I'd rather my leaders and them knowing where they come from and willing to teach the people where they come from than leaders when they hear that African names come from the slave master show a tantrum like little children when it's the truth. So Trinidad and Tobago, brothers and sisters, family and friends, I thank you all for tuning in, for viewing with us this blessed Saturday. Thank you all for the support, the encouragement, and the endorsement. I thank you all for continuing to like and continue to share. Remember, I ask that you subscribe to the page. There are 200 and somebody up here, 232 up. And brothers and sisters, I'm thanking you all for being here with us this blessed Saturday. Yes, it's the 5th of July. And whatever it is you have or you don't have, I want to ask you to stay focused and stay blessed. Remember the slogan here at 648 Television is each one help on a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Don't let nobody encourage you to go against nobody who just trying to bring the history to the people. Don't let nobody try to encourage you to call people racist when all they're doing is talking about the culture. Don't let nobody get you to be a part of nastiness. Brothers and sisters, family and friends, again, it's other boy open. To my YouTube family, to my Facebook family, Today's blessed Saturday in Trinidad and Tobago, and I thank you all for tuning in, viewing and listening. And until we meet again, I love each and every one of you all. Continue to pray for my family. Again, before I go, I don't know the conversation with TC and the lady. Sure, I don't know. But at the end of the day, brothers and sisters, the thing is about getting the message out. And once God provides an opportunity for we to get the message out, we will bring the message out. So if it is you see and you like where it is being delivered, well then other boy open to talk. So you just might be having an event. And you want to hire 648 platform, that would be good too, because we could do with that support. At the end of the day, we just accept phone calls too. We are like bill to pay the same way, internet to pay the same way, and with your help and your support, we continue it. Williams, I see that I'm praying for my government. Just as I used to pray for the What was mine was yours. Sister Delvis, all your blessed day. Thank you very much for the love, the encouragement, the support, and the endorsement, and I want to encourage you. Before I go, Monday to Friday, brothers and sisters, when you start in the morning, I want to encourage you. Please don't forget Brother Andy and the team with the ground report. Please don't forget the ground report. Please do not forget Douglas Politics, brothers and sisters. Please don't forget me, Brother Andy Roberts. Tune in to Douglas Politics. We have our brother that continues to control Breaking Dawn. Tune in to Breaking Dawn. I want to encourage you, brothers and sisters. It's open Monday to Friday between the hours at 12 and 2. You're tuning in to Real Talk. And then at 4 o'clock, you know we are TC and Heavy with the Future of Talk. And Real TV, the Future Talk. And brothers and sisters, we as a people, we must continue to pray. We have to pray for we brother Ian Allen too, because God, in a lot of cases, them conversation, and that man still have to go and sleep with it. So I encourage you, let me pray for my brothers and sisters. We better open your box loud, be out. And there are so many others that continue to support, encourage, and endorse the governing authority. And I just want to ask all to stay tuned to the relevant pages. I just want to ask you, separation, racialism, and fighting down our Indian brothers and sisters is not the way to go. So ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I hope you understand where I'm coming from today. Bless the day. I love you all. I want to say thank you very much, and until we meet again, it's all your boy you've been.
They can't be react, Trinity to the board. Trinity to the board. Sweet woman worried about nothing. The brethren they full of energy. Some people say God is a Trinity. Paradise are not convincingly. God gave us